Hi guys, Jill here, and I wanted to show you this card that I made using the Altenew Dahlia Bloom stamp set. I did this card for the Altenew Academy stamp class, and this was the mood class, and it was the color blue. So, let me first tell you I stamped these images on Canson XL watercolor paper using Ranger Silver Pearls embossing powder. And so it's going to form a resist. I'm using my Gonzai Tombi watercolors. And so all of the supplies will be listed below with links. So you can get those if you'd like. Okay, so first what I did was I laid down some water on this first dahlia as well as the smaller bloom. And I'm going to lay down a base coat and just put in this blue, and I listed the color for you so you know which blue I used. And then I'm going to pull out this minty color and just totally lose total concentration and forget about the blue flower. So I'm going to go on up to this other large blue with the mint color. As you can see, I'm using a lot of water. I'm laying down 3 different layers, and I want each layer to be distinct. And so the first layer is very watered down, the second layer is not quite as watered down, and then the third layer is way more intense. So you can see that as each layer dries, I'm adding in another layer. And I can use my brush as it's dry to pull away some color. So you can see that I did that. And obviously this is sped up quite a bit. You don't want to sit and watch me watercolor for hours on end. I'm not saying that it took this long, but that's not something you want to do. So again, I'm just going in, filling in those colors. Now, I do like this Canson watercolor paper because it's very cottony, I guess would be the word, and it does soak up these paints really well. Some things I don't like it for, other things I like it for. You just have to experiment, find out what you like. Sometimes it's an environment thing. Some things that work in Florida for me don't work for other people in their climate, and because we have a very moist environment. So here I'm coming in on a lot of these flowers with that darkest layer. And again, you're going to see each layer. I'm not trying to blend them. That's not what I'm doing with this one. This one is very distinct layers. And so finally, I've remembered that those blue flowers were there. Again, I don't know why I jump around. I don't know why I did that. But I'm going back to those blue flowers. At first, I think I was letting them dry. They didn't need to dry very long. So I'm going back to the blue flowers. Now, something else I didn't mention here is I like to use my silver brushes, and those are from the Silver Brush Company. They're the Black Velvet line, and they're round. And so I do believe I'm using the number 4. And I'm sorry if I'm incorrect. I listed them all. I have a 2 and a 4 out. And then later on the background, I use the 6. I love these brushes. They hold a lot of water. They have a fine point. And I believe it's Sandy Alnick that I first saw use these. And I do know that she's the one that kind of brought them to crafting for us. And I really do like them because of that fine point. I can really get a lot of control with them. Now, I did do the leaves, and I list the color that I used for them, but on my blog. But I didn't film that. I also really didn't film the little flower that I ended up using, which was actually the mint color. So now we're going to go over to the background. The background was very loose. I just took a full sheet of the Canson, and I went ahead and I taped that to a piece of just a board. This is actually from the Dollar Tree. It's a chalkboard. And I just went ahead and, sorry about my chair, and I went ahead and I taped that using just some painter's tape. And I went ahead and I wet it down, and I took the blue paint, and I just rubbed it all over. There was no rhyme or reason to it. I just wanted the blue paint over the background. You can see that this is a stitched background. I used the largest of the Simon Says stamp stitched rectangles, and I just covered where the stitching is. Then I'm going to come in and do some splatter with my Tim Holtz splatter brush. I should really use this more often, and I really do use it a lot on backgrounds. And as you can see, I have a palette there. That's my Art Impressions watercolor palette. And again, all the supplies are linked if you have any questions about what these are. So after I did this with the blue, then I'm going to come in with, I believe this is kind of a maroon color. And I use my drinking water because I didn't want to get up. So yeah, I used Dasani all the time. Now that was just laziness. So I just used my regular brush here, and I'm drawing in between the colors. Now I did come in with the gold, and I did not film that either. Sorry about that, but you'll see that here. So there's the color I show it. So I used my Mini Misty to come in with the stamp itself. This is the Simon Says Stamp Happy stamp. I use this, I swear, on every birthday card. And I'm inking it up with my Onyx Black VersaFine ink. I love that ink. It's very crisp. Now I use my Mini Misty so that I can go back for anything I might have missed. And so you see I had to stamp it twice. And so go ahead and I put that aside so I could clean it. And so here's the layout of my card. And I used both parts of the layer. And actually I cut it with both of them, sorry, to create two inlaid pieces. And I used both of those pieces from the frame. And that's a piece of fun foam that I cut using that same exact piece to lift up the center. And there's my Simon Says stamp bone folder. I absolutely love that thing. It was expensive, but totally worth it. So now I'm using my Tombow, what is this? Sorry. Mono liquid glue. And I use this to attach everything, just to a note card. And I love it because you can move it around after. I go between this and my matte medium, but I like this because you cannot see it on the other side of the card at all. So I tend to use this because I do prefer that. So I just again use my bone folder, make sure it's applied well, that you cannot see that fun foam, that I didn't make any mistakes with how I apply it, and then I come back in with my Tombow adhesive. And again, I just like, you cannot see it on the other side of the card. And I had wondered about that because I have used other adhesives that I was so disappointed because, again, it could be a climate thing, but they left a mark on the other side of the card. And I'm not giving that to anyone. And so I had to take the card apart, remake some of the elements, and reapply the adhesive. Okay, so now I'm putting my pieces back together. And the smallest flower, I guess the little bud, I did apply with just the flat adhesive. And everything else I applied with foam tape in layers. The leaves I put in first to put them in the background. And then the mint flower. And then the blue flower went in the front. And I really like this layout. I like how this card came together very easily. I didn't have to fuss with it. I just love these Altenew flowers, and I love the colors. And again, they came together easily. So, again, this was for the Altenew Academy class. You should really look into those. Go ahead and check it out over on my blog. And I do have a link to that down here below my video. So I also have some still pictures at the end of this video. And if you have any questions, as always, please don't hesitate to ask me. And if you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up. As always, thanks for stopping by, and have a great day.